Welcome to Ryan's Running Reviews in partnership with Roadrunner Sports, and today we're taking a look at two different trail/road running shoes from HOKA. We have the Challenger ATR 7 and the HOKA Torrent 3. Let's roll with it. Now, before we get started, I do want to say these shoes were provided to me by Roadrunner Sports. However, no one had a chance to preview this video, and this file synopsis is my own. I also like to say please leave a like on the video and consider subscribing. Here we go. Now, the reason we're comparing the Challenger to the Torrent is I find both of these models to be rather versatile trail running shoes. Yes, they're not the most technical, not the most advanced HOKA trail running shoes, but I think if you're someone who's looking for one shoe to kind of do a little bit of everything from trail running to hiking to walking to road running, I think these shoes work quite well. And they are rather similar. They do have some key differences and kind of depends on what kind of activities you're doing, but I think they kind of fit in the same categories, being rather versatile, not highly technical or highly complex HOKA trail running shoe. So I'm excited to get into it and let's do it. For the stats, the Challenger ATR 7, the ATR stands for all terrain, cost $145 and lost almost a full ounce in weight this year and now weighs 8.9 ounces. As far as the stack height goes, we have 31 millimeters in the heel, 26 in the forefoot for that classic 5 millimeter HOKA drop. The Torrent 3 also has that 5 millimeter drop with a little bit less in stack height, 23 millimeters in the heel, 18 in the forefoot, and does weigh about 0.2 of an ounce less compared to the Challenger, now weighing 8.7 ounces this year. It's also a little bit cheaper compared to the Challenger as well, about $15, and now costs $130 compared to the $145 with the Challenger 7. While both uppers are engineered mesh, there are some key differences. The upper on the Torrent 3 is a single layer of engineered mesh and has a more snug fit. I'll also say I think it runs about a half size small. My toe is pretty much at the top of the toe box. Now, the upper on the Challenger has an internal sock liner right below the upper itself. I'll also say it does fit true to size and is a little bit more accommodating compared to the upper on the Torrent 3. Both tongues are gusseted and they're gusseted in their own unique way. Essentially, the tongue on the Challenger is connected to that internal sock liner, while the Torrent, because it doesn't have that internal sock liner, has two pieces of engineered mesh, one small strip on the lateral side and one on the medial side that keep the tongue in place. Now, both tongues feel very similar. They have about comparable levels of padding, and I found them to work quite well. Moving to the back of the shoe, the heel counters were quite different. The Challenger heel counter has a bit more padding where the Achilles is just because you have the large elf ear pull tab, while the Torrent has a much more traditional heel counter. And I actually preferred this traditional heel counter over the one on the Challenger, mainly because I felt like it was just a bit taller and my heel was able to sink in a little bit further. I also thought that the Torrent had a slightly better lockdown, mainly because I felt like it was just a more snug shoe and I didn't feel like my foot was going anywhere. But the biggest piece of it, I thought, was the heel counter giving me a bit of a better lockdown compared to the Challenger, which I found to be just ever so slightly too shallow. Once you get the lacing set up and everything kind of situated just right, I felt connected into the platform, but I felt much more secure with the Torrent. Now, part of the reason of why that may be is because the Torrent is maybe a little bit narrow and a little bit more snug compared to the Challenger, but I do prefer the heel counter we see on the Torrent just because it feels a little bit taller. Felt like my heel was able to kind of slide a little bit further back into the shoe itself compared to the Challenger ATR. Moving on to the midsole, we have compression molded EVA foam on the Challenger and ProFly on the Torrent. Now, there is some clear daylight between these two shoes with regard to how they feel. The Torrent feels much firmer compared to the Challenger with its rather thick and soft and wad plush on top of all that. Midsole almost kind of feels like a Bondi/Clifton for road and trail, if you will. It's also rather bulky, has a little bit more heft to it, and I think the Challenger works better for those who are doing long excursions or if you're on your feet all day long or if you just want a little bit more cushion for the pushing, as they say. However, in my opinion, I kind of prefer the Torrent just because it was a little bit more nimble. Yes, there's not much plush or squish to this shoe, but if you're doing some rock scrambles, if you want to go a little bit faster, or if you want a bit of a more dynamic shoe, I think the Torrent works quite well. It has a nice level of shock absorption. Like I said before, I do prefer the lockdown here. So I felt like I was able to kind of have a little bit more confidence when doing some faster movements in the Torrent compared to the Challenger, which, yes, does feel a bit more plush and has a better cushioned experience. So I think it comes down to what you're looking for. But in my experience, just for my daily runs and whatnot, I kind of preferred the Torrent just because it just felt a little bit more dynamic and it's more streamlined, less bulky package. Both midsoles have 4mm lugs. However, the rubber on the Torrent did get updated this year to be a bit stickier with one of HOKA's proprietary compounds. The surface area of the Challenger is a bit greater compared to the Torrent, mainly because you have a bulkier midsole and flat-waisted geometry through the midfoot to help with the stability of that compression-molded EVA foam material. Now, in my experience, yes, these aren't the most technical trail running shoes. I think they hit the mark of what they're supposed to do. A mixed-use trail shoe. Yes, you can use it on the road. Yes, you can use it on the dirt path. Yes, you can use it for some minor rock scrambling or gravel. I think these hit the mark. It's a much better option compared to your conventional road running daily trainer, which I think some people do. And that always kind of hurts me to see that when I'm out on the trail, because I'm like, oh, you could just increase your experience so much more if you use something with a little bit more grip like these. Now, if you're going over snow, ice, mud, or doing some crazy, I guess, excursions, you might want to bump up to the Speed Goat. Has a little bit more cushion, has a little bit better grip to it. But I think if you're doing mixed use, you want something better than a road running shoe. I think both of these come in handy, and I think worked quite well. I didn't really have any major issues. Again, I wasn't pushing them to the ultimate limits because I don't think that's what they're designed to do, but I was quite happy with the grip and performance of the outsoles. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to what you want out of your shoes. If you want a quicker, firmer, more nimble shoe, go with the Torrent. I was quite happy with it. You might want to do a half size up. It was rather snug. And if you're someone going on a longer excursion, wants a little bit more cushion for the pushing, as they say, I think the Challenger works quite well with its very familiar HOKA compression molded EVA foam midsole. It does have a bit more volume to it, and I do wish they make the heel counter a bit bigger, but I think it works quite well for those purposes. So let me know down in the comments, which shoe do you think would work best for you, or do you want to bump it up to one of HOKA's more technical, more specialty models? I'd love to hear from you. Well, I'm Ryan from Ryan's Running Reviews, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.